Welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we are taking a massive magnifying glass to one of the absolute most persistent illusions in our entire space. We're going to decode the huge, frankly frustrating gap between staring at raw blockchain data and actually extracting real, actionable meaning from it. For the longest time, we've been promised that if we just had all the data out in the open, boom, everything would just make sense. But yeah, as anyone who has actually tried to use it knows, we've been left seriously wanting. So, we're going on a bit of a quest today. We are moving way beyond mere transparency to try and find true on-chain understanding.
Okay, let's dive into this. Because for years, the blockchain has been pitched to us in these almost utopian terms, right? We've all heard the pitch time and time again. It's constantly described as a quote-unquote machine for truth, a totally perfect, immutable ledger where literally nothing can be hidden and absolutely no one can lie. I mean, it sounds fantastic, doesn't it? A cryptographic guarantee of honesty that's just supposed to automatically solve all of our trust issues in one fell swoop.
And the foundational pillars of this so-called machine for truth are massive. Just think about these three promises. Everything is recorded. Everything is public. Everything leaves a permanent trail. When you hear those three pillars, man, it is so easy to just assume the problem is totally solved. If it's on the chain, it's unquestionable. Period. The data is just right there for anyone to see forever.
But let's look at what actually happens when you sit down and try to actually use this machine. On paper, what we just talked about sounds like complete transparency, but in reality, it's something entirely different. The truth is, just opening up a block explorer or staring at a ledger doesn't automatically reveal anything useful. It's kind of like finding a massive, sprawling library where every single book is written in some complex cipher. Sure, all the letters are technically there, and yeah, they're available to the public, but good luck figuring out what the story is actually about.
This all builds into an incredibly frustrating, tedious reality for anyone trying to analyze the chain manually. Look at this. Step 1, you inspect a random, totally anonymous alphanumeric address for hours on end. Step 2, you follow every single transaction, just jumping from hash to hash all the way down the rabbit hole. Step 3, you map every interaction, drawing these chaotic, sprawling lines between wallets and smart contracts. It is an exhausting, absolutely agonizing process. You do all of this heavy lifting, literally staring at screens until your eyes cross, basically just assuming that the sheer volume of data is going to eventually magically yield an answer.
And yet, after all those hours, you still find yourself just staring blankly at the screen, throwing your hands up and asking, who is actually behind this?
Can this signal even be trusted?
What does this activity actually represent? You literally have all the data in the world right in front of your face, and yet you are left entirely in the dark.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how it perfectly captures the dichotomy at the very heart of our blockchain experience today. Over on the left side, the data is entirely visible. Every byte, every timestamp, every transfer, it's all there. But on the right side, the context is completely missing. You have the what, but you have absolutely zero of the why or the who. You're basically looking at the brushstrokes without being able to see the actual painting.
And this missing gap between data and context, well, it matters deeply. It brings us to this core concept of information utility. This is the principle that data becomes useful only when interpretation exists around it. Just think about it for a second. A random string of numbers is literally just a string of numbers until someone actually provides the interpretation that, hey, that's the winning lottery ticket, right? The interpretation is the thing that unlocks the value. Without that crucial human element of understanding, raw on-chain data is really just cryptographic noise.
So how do we actually go about fixing this problem? Well, we need to intentionally build and fill that missing layer. And this brilliantly illustrates how the project Codatta over at codatta.io focuses exactly on this by establishing 4 really concrete, actionable pillars. First up, human-verified context. This means bringing actual human judgment to cold data, so we aren't just blindly relying on algorithms. Second, attribution around activity, so you finally know the origin and the actual who behind what you're looking at. Third, attaching rich metadata to signals, giving them some actual dimension and depth. And fourth, delivering explainable on-chain intelligence. It basically takes this huge philosophical problem of missing context and solves it structurally.
So the crucial point is this. Transparency was never the final destination. Understanding was. Let that sink in, because this realization should shift your entire paradigm about what you expect from Web3. We've spent the last decade celebrating the fact that we could clearly see the ledger, but we kind of completely forgot that seeing is definitely not the same as comprehending. Transparency is just a tool, guys. Understanding is the actual goal here.
To really drive this ultimate takeaway home, just look at the stark contrast between visibility and context here. On the left, we've got the cold reality of visibility. It simply tells you what happened. A token moved from wallet A to wallet B at this exact time. Period. That's it. But on the right, we have the warm, deeply necessary element of context. Context tells you what it actually means. It tells you that a known malicious actor just transferred stolen funds to a decentralized exchange. See the difference? That context is the difference between just passively scrolling past a transaction and taking vital, informed action.
Which brings us to our final thought for this explainer. Are you settling for mere visibility when you should be demanding true understanding? The raw data is all out there, just sitting, waiting on the ledger. But until we actively demand and utilize the tools to interpret it, we're really just blindly staring at code. Don't settle for the raw data. Demand the context. Thanks so much for joining me as we explored this absolute game changer of a perspective shift, and I'll see you on the next explainer.